Hello, listeners. This is Ian back again, and today we've got a real exciting one for you. I'm here with Johan Längquist, vocalist for Candlemass. Johan, thank you so much for talking with me today.
Thank you, Ian, for calling me up.
Now, back in about 2019, we interviewed Leif, and this was shortly after they announced your return to Candlemass, and he said at the time that you were just the most fantastic person to work with, the easiest, the funnest, and I suppose nothing's changed because here we are years later, albums later.
Yeah,
I assume things
yeah, yeah.
well.
Actually, I think that he has he has more energy right now, and he still has it because he has done every single gig since that, and before that he used to have another bass playing doing the gigs, so that's pretty amazing. And he's been very productive the last years, I can tell.
Well, let's talk about we're here to talk about the latest album, Sweet Evil Son, but let's get some context for that. The stretch from 2019 to now has been a pretty tough one. I imagine, from your perspective, it was just nonstop adjustments. So can you talk about the the past few?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you want me to take it from the very beginning or what?
Well, we can start with the 2019 beginning and get to the epicus.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I got in the band actually 2018, and they said that called me up and asked me if I wanted to join the band again, and it was the perfect timing for me. So I said yes. I need to listen to the songs, but if I do like the songs, I'm in. And the very next day we went to the studio. I'm doing it fast now. If you've already heard about it. And I heard the songs and I said, wow, these are great songs. And I said, can we start a recording right away? And so we did. And within a couple of weeks, the vocals were done. And then we just went straight on and did a couple of gigs. So it was a pretty stressful but funny time. And of course, the very first gig I did with the band was, of course, I was very nervous, but just a couple of minutes into the show, I felt that, yeah, it feels very good again because I haven't, I've been into music for all of my life, and uh, but I haven't been on the big stages Candlemas are playing, so.
It's scary. I have very little experience on it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't have a problem with that, but you wanna, I had a lot of eyes watching me for the moment at that time. So is he still alive? Can he still sing? And there was a lot of discussions, and so I knew I had to perform well to be accepted. But it seems that I managed to do that.
And you were able to do it still while live shows were happening, and then
Yeah,
you only got so many of those under your belt, and then that was impossible for a while.
yeah, yeah.
Now, how did that affect the writing of this album? Were you able to get back together in person? I know a lot of people I've been talking to said no, we had to write this new album totally remotely. Were you able to get together in a room and hash things out? Is that your usual writing style?
No, actually, Leif is the main writer of pretty much everything in the band, and he's always been. And fortunately, he's a very good songwriter, so that's not a problem. So I think it started up somewhere in the COVID period. I actually didn't know that he had started writing new songs because it was pretty sad because we were doing pretty good, and then all of a sudden the whole world closed. But something bad is happening, something good is coming out in the end. So and he called me up and said, I've done a couple of demos, can you come down to the studio and we put some vocals on it? And so we did, and then he takes the demo back home and working with it more. And In the end, the way we are recording it, that's how it starts. Leifs makes a demo, and then John is coming down and putting on the drums, and the guitars are coming down, but we're not doing it the old-fashioned way, playing at the same time. I think pretty much all the bands are doing like that these days, and
Yeah.
it's in a way pretty rational to do it that way.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And you've been doing it for a while. In prepping for this interview, I challenged myself to try to listen to all of the Candlemass catalog, which I didn't quite get all the way through.
Yeah. There are a lot of different singers.
There's a lot of different singers, but the thing that I had forgotten about, I mean, the first Candlemass albums I heard were Ancient Dreams and Tales of Creation, and Epicus I heard after I heard those.
Okay.
In the 80s, we didn't have, we had copied tapes for the most part, so who knew what the credits actually said? And I honest to God didn't know that the singer had switched from the first album to the other ones. And so I guess to get into your style and how you sing and how you've been thinking about this over a decade, I was really surprised that the style that Messiah is credited with is it's definitely there on the very first album. I mean, you're doing it. He's imitating what you first put down. And so I want to try to get into your headspace because you don't sound like that exactly anymore.
No,
Uh,
no. There is a difference. I can't be so. What do you say? Clear anymore when I'm pushing. it's I'm going more distorted by the years, but fortunately I'm doing metal, so it works anyway.
oh, for sure, age and experience and just changing tastes have something to do with it. But what was going on in your head when you were recording? What kind of reference could you have had at the time? Did they ask you to sing like Dio, or they ask you, or
Nothing like that. Actually, they just Leif was singing a couple of tunes for me, and then I try to copy them and do it my way. It's pretty much as simple as that. But I was I've been into metal music for a while, and I think that's somewhere. When you were young, and I remember the very first album that really hooked me was Judas Priest, and Victim of Changes, and the Sad Wings of Destiny album, and then later on Rainbow, Down to Earth, Rising, Dio, and a lot of singers. But in my I knew in a way that I can't sing like that. So I have to do it the very best that I can, because they're more kind of high pitched singers than I am naturally. So,
yeah,
but
to
they were my biggest inspiration in the very beginning, and of course there are a lot of great singers, but that's where it all started in the very beginning.
me, I was thinking it sounds a bit like early Jeff Tate Queensryche. There's something about you getting down to that talking register.
You got me. I'm actually a really big fan of Geoff Tate later on. So you're right. He's on my list for when it comes to great singers.
Same, same.
Yeah.
But there's also something else that, again, I didn't quite make it through the entire catalog, so I haven't done the math on this. But
No.
my impression is that there's virtually never backing vocals in Candlemass songs
No.
unless you're involved. So is could
Uh,
you talk about backing vocals a little? I mean, I'm sure there's some backing vocals every now and then when you're not involved, but when you're doing it, there's a lot more of that happening. It's a very different sound.
yeah, but it's not that much back vocals on the very first album. Epicus
No,
doesn't
no,
have
no.
that. No, 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 because that's we have actually been talking about that because when we're out there playing live, it's always just me, so I have to make it happen all alone. No one else they don't want to sing, and I would be great for me, but so far I'm standing there alone, and in a way it works, fortunately.
Sure, but on these albums, I'm definitely hearing, layered backing vocals on there that I don't get on their earlier albums. Is that
Yeah.
something you?
Yeah, you have to try out things. I'm doing a couple of the background vocals myself, and there are some other people doing background vocals as well. And it's put something on when you're doing a record. Maybe the song is rising couple of 1% more or something. So it's well worth trying it out and see if it's okay. So that's pretty much it. It happens when the record is done. You're sitting down listening to the record. Is there something more that we can do to push the album even a bit more? And then background vocals, and maybe some keyboards and stuff like that. It could be very good, but not too much.
I think that it's subtle enough that I couldn't put my finger on it until I had listened to, older albums. What's
Hmm.
what seems new here? It's not just a different vocalist. It's the sound of Candlemass
Yeah,
is evolving.
yeah. Yeah, I know, but we all are pretty much stuck in the 70s, the 80s, and Leif is a big fan of the old school sounds. So it's kind of old school sound in a modern version or something like that. I don't know. I'm pretty much deaf on one of my ears, so I'm not the right person to talk about every single thing that is in the music, because there are some frequencies that I can't hear actually.
Oh, that must be really challenging.
No, actually it's not. Singing is working fine, but I shouldn't sit down and do mixing and stuff like that. I'm the wrong person for that.
I gotcha. I want to go back to, you mentioned finishing up albums and getting keyboards involved, because one thing that I love about Candlemass is keyboards, and
Yeah,
I don't hear enough people talking about that aspect of the music, and it looks like you mostly used the same keyboardist the whole time.
yeah,
Carl?
yeah. We call him Dr. Carl. Dr. Carl. Yeah. I think he's actually a doctor.
Oh,
Very,
really?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I've met him a couple of times, but I don't know his history. But he is a doctor. Yeah,
Oh, funny. So he's a mystery to you too.
yeah. At least to me, I've just seen him playing. I played with him once when we were doing a live streaming, and I met him. We have had a beer once or twice. So, but he's doing a great job as well.
Yeah,
He's
he's
an old
good
friend of
songs.
Leif.
Is
Yeah,
that what it is? Yeah.
yeah.
Tell me what you do know about how he got involved. I know he's got a band called Carp Tree that is
Oof.
pretty special.
Oh, I don't know anything more about him. Sorry.
That's all right. That'll have to be a mystery we solve another day.
Yeah, talk to Leif about it. He knows.
Let's go back to talking about singing and writing. When you're, this is a question I wish I asked more vocalists. It only came to me when I was thinking about talking to you for some reason. But when you're thinking about lyrics, or how to deliver a certain line, do you imagine a particular world, like a Candlemass world in your head? Is there some sort of imagery or mood, or something that informs what you're doing?
Yeah, yeah. In a way, I think I picture. what I'm singing about in a way, and trying to, you know, just get into the story in a way. And Yeah, you have to. From the very start, when you hear a new song with no vocals, you have to find your way into the song. Of course, there are some you can hear not that often, but it happens. When you hear the vocalist, he's not in the song; he's somewhere else, and you have to find your way into the song, and you know just put on the start button and just have fun for a while, and all of a sudden you're in the right mood to start the recording. It's a lot of fun. I'm pretty much, I could even be a bit crazy during the recordings actually, because I like it so much. We're having such a good time when we're in the studio, and I guess that's why Leif likes it. I'm ready to try out all kinds of things, and sometimes I'm just playing around myself, and I screaming to Marcus that, "Did you hear that? That was good. Can we record that?" And Marcus, he's so professional. "Don't worry, Johan. I already did it, so it's there." So yeah, we have a lot of fun, and that's very important, of course.
Yeah, obviously. So, can you tell me a little bit about the things that give you that Candlemass mood outside of recording? Is it certain books or movies or things that you recognize and say, oh yeah, there's something in this that's giving me that feeling.
It's pretty much, I'm a big fan of heavy guitars, and when I hear good guitar riffs, something is just starting to grow inside of me, and uh, it's so powerful with great guitar riffs, and I simply love it. So I don't. That's all I need actually. Good drums, bass, and heavy guitars. That's awesome.
Well, I think we all agree about that. Otherwise, we wouldn't even be in
Yeah.
the first place. Huh? But metal wasn't your whole life, and I imagine it's still not your whole life right now. I've talked to some people who had some pretty surprising side projects and in very far-flung genres. So when you're not working on Candlemass, do you have other kinds of music that you do? Or do you play basketball?
Yeah, yeah. When they called me up, I was actually working on a couple of songs for an album, and I do when I get some free time. But Candlemass is what I is my priority, and I've told them that. So I give Candlemass everything, and if there is some leftover time, I'll work on my own stuff. So and they know about it. So and they said, for sure, you do your stuff. It's not a problem at all. And but we've been working pretty much lately, so there's not that much time for the moment. But I'm working on it. So one
What does it sound
day,
like? Roundabout, what would you say it sounds like?
yeah, it's heavy metal in a way. Can be heavy and fast. Yeah, a touch of the '80s in a way.
Fat.
But
I'm not.
the it's gonna be a good album. I think so. I'm pretty sure about that actually. But I can't tell you when it's all done. But I'm working on it.
Well, whenever it comes out, I'm sure we'll talk about it. It's interesting to me that you stress it's fast. I think this was, if
Yeah,
I were in Candlemass, what would I want to do on the side? Probably something really fast.
yeah. No, 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 no. I love the slow stuff as well, and I'm doing slow stuff myself too. But um, yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why it works pretty well for me for the moment. the reason is that I've been into music all of my life in one way or another. You know, I've written so many songs and thrown so many songs in wasted, and but there are still a lot of songs left. So I just have to re-record them. So one day there will be something coming out.
Well, and one day, perhaps by the time this airs, Sweet Evil Son is going to be out for everybody to listen to. I've had the promo for a while. I've gone up and down it, and it's a real fun listen. What do you want fans to be on the lookout for when they get access to this full album?
Yeah, yeah, there are of course great songs. The first two singles, there are great songs, easy to what do you say, grab people in a way, and maybe we find some new. You know, the audience used to be very old, just let's say 4 years ago. Not very old, but you know, I'm very old too. So, but there are a lot of young people these days coming to see the show, so that's pretty amazing. And uh, I'm pretty sure that they won't be disappointed listening to the album, the new album. Leif is very proud of this album, I can tell, and he thinks that this is one of the best albums that he has ever written. And what can I say? I love the songs; they're great songs. So I agree.
I agree too. Well, it's been fantastic talking to you. Is there anything else you want to add before we part ways?
uh, no, I think we've talked a lot. I'm fine. And you? If is there anything left that you want to say?
Oh, I could chew your ear off all day long about this stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, Thank you very much for making time for us today.
Yeah, thank you, Ian, for calling me up. It was great talking to you, man. And maybe we'll see each other one day.